We are done with workbench description. Now to customization for a sketcher. The sketcher option will help you to sketch your profile with the given options. For example, the grid will make it easier to sketch a profile required parallel lines. You have to click on tools and then click on options to display the option dialog box. The option dialog box will appear. And when you click on mechanical design, you can see there's an option called sketcher. On sketcher, we'll have grid, sketch plane, geometry, constraint, and finally update. So setting a grid is to define the grid. You can enter the value for your choice in the preliminary spacing and graduations field. The preliminary spacing option lets you to define the spacing between the major lines of the grid. The graduation field lets you to set the number of graduations between the major line of the grid, which actually consists in defining a secondary grid. So click the display option to display the grid in the session. You will note that this capability is also available in the sketcher option toolbar. Next to that, we have a snap to point option if your sketch needs to begin or end with the point on the grid. And then once you choose all of your options, click OK to confirm the operations. So these options are applied in the sketcher workbench. Setting the sketch plane is to check the shade sketch plane option. This lets you to view the sketch plane in the sketcher workbench. However, note that the grid must be displayed to see the shaded plane. And then we have customizing the geometry creation. That is when sketching circles or ellipses, we may prefer not to create their centers. So this version lets you to decide what you really want to create. By default, the create circle and ellipse center option is on. Just uncheck it if you do not need to create the centers when sketching. Then we have solving mode, that is switch button. When you want to move the geometry, you can decide whether you require to move it either the minimum number of elements or the maximum number of these elements, or still the minimum number by modifying the shape of these elements if needed. And then we have constraints to create or not the geometrical or dimensional constraint detected by the Smart Pick tool. So if all the detection options are unchecked, the create detected constraint option is not available. Here we have a Smart Pick. So as you create more and more elements, Smart Pick detects multiple directions and positions and more relations with existing elements. This may lead to confusion due to the rapid highlighting of several different detection possibilities as you point the cursor at different elements in rapid session. So consequently, you can decide to filter out undesired detection. This task shows or this Smart Pick tool shows how to use it. Then we have color. So two types of colors may be applied to sketched elements. These two types of colors correspond to graphical properties and constraint properties. By clicking on the visualization of diagnostic switch button, the following dialog box will appear. So the over constrained elements dimensioning scheme is over constrained, that is too many dimensions were applied to the geometry. Inconsistent element, at least one dimension value need to be changed. This is also the same case when elements are under constraint and the system proposes defaults that do not lead to the solution. Then we have not changed element, that is some geometrical elements are over-defined or not consistent. As a result, the geometry that depends on the problematic area will be recalculated. Then we have ISO constraint element. All the relevant dimensions are satisfied. That is, the geometry is fixed and cannot be moved from its geometrical session. So if you click on other colors, the switch button, the following dialog box will open. Here we have a protected element, that is non-modifiable element. Construction element. A construction element is an element that is internal to and only visualized by the sketch. This element is used as a positioning reference. It is not used for creating solid primitives. And Smart Pick colors used for Smart Pick assistant elements and symbols. So this is customization of a Sketcher tool. By this we come to the end of customization of a Sketcher workbench. Let us move on to solving an exercise in the next session. Thank you.